Good evening and welcome to Emerson Institute at City of Light. I'm Reverend Dr. Paul Gratz, and it's a delight to have you joining us for this evening class session. We're thrilled to be in the Dr. Angelo Pizzello Wisdom Center here at City of Light. This is one of the largest lending libraries of metaphysical books in the United States. It's an opportunity for students to come and learn, study, find great resources, clergy to come as well, check out books and engage in deeper study, as well as just seekers of wisdom, just like you and I, who are hungry to learn more. So the Wisdom Center is this wonderful location here on the campus of City of Light for us to offer great resources for spiritual growth and development. Now here at the Dr. Angelo Pizzello Wisdom Center, we've got a wide collection of different books that are metaphysical, everything from some great Fillmore books, Goldsmith books. We've got wonderful Wayne Dyer collection. We've got an immense collection spanning all around the room here as well that you can come by and check out. It is a great resource, but also you can see some classroom tables here where this is a learning center as well, with the opportunity for people to come and host workshops, take classes. It's all about gaining the spiritual insight and wisdom that we desire. So I'm glad that you're with us today here as we begin the grand opening of the Dr. Angelo Pizzello Wisdom Center at City of Light. Tonight's class is The Basic Principles of Science of the Mind by Frederick Bales, and this is class number 4. So to prepare for this incredible study and our discussion today, we're going to begin by taking 3 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our mouth, through our nose, hold for a brief moment, and then release through the mouth. And release all tension and stress and reset our vibrational frequency to be in tune for all that God has in store for us. For the Spirit of God is speaking to us at all times. We just need to tune into the right frequency to receive all that God has for us. So let's just do that together. Would you join with me? Let's breathe in and release. Deep breath in and release. Deep breath in and release. And in this moment of silence, would you set your intention? Name the desire of what you'd like to experience during this time that we share together in this class setting. And so it is. Well, welcome to class number 4, and we're beginning the chapter entitled The Sense of Authority. Now, we have seen in the past classes that the paramount thing in this creative process is thought. So let's see how this applies to the healing of the physical body. Let's begin by remembering that thought not only influences form, it actually becomes form. We are going to say, wait, how does this happen? How can dense matter emerge from thought? And how can solid rock be composed of the same substance as thought of a finer vibration of spirit? So remember, we spoke of spirit by thought. Spirit selects the thought and says, let there be. So that thought, that spirit spoke in the creative process in the book of Genesis, describing the very creation of the world, that thought speaking out, and it proclaimed and gave forth this energy that became a creative force in the world. So what happens is, in our world, we are speaking a form of energy when we proclaim something, and that energy goes forth in a creative manner. It is true that thought is the father of every fact. Let's just break that down. Thought, the father or the source or the creator of every fact that we go through in life. So it begins when we understand that that which we're thinking is creating our reality. So it is in the journey of thought process, in the healing journey, it is that our thoughts begin to speak to the body. Our thoughts begin to proclaim. Our thoughts begin to offer this healing energy that then goes forth to create the fact. The thoughts become the source or the father of the fact, birthing the fact, giving life to the fact. In other words, creating in the journey of our life. So whatever you're thinking about in your body, I'm thinking wholeness, health, wellness, well, that's speaking to every cell within your very being. And that cell is responding to this attitude. It's responding to the energy of this thought. Just as you may be filled with the thought energy of stress, anxiety, fear, and doubt, so much more coming to your life in such a way that is such negative energy. And that energy that's going forth is now speaking to every cell. And this is why many people will sort of birth an ulcer or many physical problems and challenges within their body based on the thoughts that they're holding, because thought will influence form. Thought will influence the body. So Frederick Bales used the illustration of a 3-segment telescope. You know, a telescope that you kind of pull out to one level, then you expand it to another level, then you expand it again to another level. Well, first it is a single cylinder, and then you pull it out, and there's a second segment, and then you pull out further, and there's a third segment. So spirit is like the first cylinder. Spirit, like the first cylinder. Then mind emerging as the fabricator, and finally, the form of body being brought into view with the third extension of this telescope. So we're looking at life as we begin with spirit, inspiration, and desire. Then mind holding inspiration and desire in consciousness. And then that bringing about form, being the body or the form of what it is that we have been proclaiming or holding in thought. It's now coming into view. So it's these 3 different phases of inspiration, that which we're holding in mind, and then that which is in mind is now emerging into form. So the creative process is intelligence or spirit that is thinking, selecting, and choosing. The intelligence then is initiating it in the deeper mind. And we've been talking about surface mind and deeper mind. Do you remember this in some of our first classes? Our discussion of the surface mind being that sort of mind chatter that goes on in the day-to-day thought process. All kinds of thoughts are coming our way. Oh, I need to do laundry. I need to pay bills. Oh, I need to call so-and-so. I've got this issue. Or, oh, this is nice. I hear the birds singing. All these different thoughts that are going through your mind. That's surface mind. Thoughts that we're entertaining in our mind then go into a deeper sense, and that deeper mind is the subconscious and the deeper place. So the creative thoughts that you're holding in mind, creative thoughts of like, I believe I can, goes deep into the deeper mind, and the subconscious energy begins to manifest from that. So we want to make sure that we're being very selective about the thoughts that we hold in our surface mind, because they're going into the deeper mind. We want to take care of the deeper mind by not allowing negative thoughts or thoughts that are destructive or thoughts that are just not constructive in the manner which we so desire. So we don't want to entertain any of those. We don't want them to get into the deeper mind and begin to give birth or take form from there. So we want to make sure that we're very selective. What happens is the thought or this creative process, the thoughts you're thinking, they're now going into the deeper mind, and then it moves upon the body through law, and it is acted upon, molded to the desired form. The law being that which is this very principle: as a man thinks, so he is. As a woman thinks, so she is. As you think, so you are. So you begin to think, oh, you know what, I just don't feel well. Well, begin to actually then engage in more sense and awareness of illness and sickness. Have you ever had someone come to you and say, you know, honey, you don't look so good today. Are you okay? Do you have a fever? You don't look like you're well. You look like you're really tired. Well, they begin to convince you, and you engage those thoughts. You go, well, maybe I am really tired. Maybe I don't feel well. And before you know it, you begin to think, well, you know what, maybe I should go home and quit work and just go home early and have a sick day. You see, that thought can actually carry through, and we manifest it, and then it becomes our reality. So how about we become very selective and say, I am engaging in thoughts that are positive, uplifting, encouraging, thoughts that are full of health and wholeness and well-being. I see myself as perfect in the very sense of the divine. The perfection of God is at work in me and through me. And so we begin to embrace all of this. And those thoughts begin to affect and have an impact upon the body. We can't say this enough, and we repeated this in many class sessions, that your biography becomes your biology. The story you're telling yourself over and over again, being your biography, I'm sick, I can't, I'm not able, I'm not smart enough. That story that you're telling yourself over and over again becomes your biology. It impacts your health, your wholeness, your body, your very being. And it begins to take manifest and shape and form within you. So we want to be very, very conscious that we are embracing very positive thoughts and energizing the body, giving it the wonderful gift of the sense and awareness of health and wholeness at all times. It's great to wake up in the morning and just give yourself a nice stretch out and feel the blood moving through every muscle. It is great to wake up and have a deep breath and just let it be a cleansing breath and say, fresh oxygen coming into this body. And this body is now working to its very highest and best capabilities. I feel every muscle now feeling a surge of health and healing and wholeness in it. And the energy that I proclaim in thought is now flooding through my very being. For our body is actually thought energy in form. Did you know that the body is constantly being rebuilt? It's renewed every 7 years. So it's like you're getting a whole new system. They estimate that approximately 1 million red blood cells alone disappear and are replaced by new ones each second. Wow. We are really in a transformational experience. We're really renewing ourselves. And every one of those cells is built under either a negative thought pattern or a positive thought pattern. So it makes sense to select the best thoughts for your health. Several class sessions back, we began to study a Japanese study on the influence of the energy of the spoken word upon water. And the scientists looked at a jar of water where for a period of time they spoke hate and negativity and cast all kinds of fear and spoke all kinds of words to this container of water. And when they looked under a microscope, they found that the molecules of the water itself were very jagged and very, shall we say, rough and crudely formed. Then they took another container of water, and for the same period of time, they spoke words of love and encouragement, positivity and support. They spoke kindness and gentleness. And at the end of that period of time, they looked at the molecules of water under the microscope to found them to be beautifully formed crystals, gorgeous shapes, all in beauty. The jagged gone, the crudeness gone, but formed in intricate patterns. So we know that thoughts, the very word that is an energy force that's going forth, and it's influencing ourselves. Well, if we see it happening in a vase of water, and your body is how much water? Some say what, 60% and 80% water in the body itself? So we can imagine how our thoughts are affecting, crystallizing the very molecules, jagged or creating them in the form of beauty and excellence. So here's why we have to be really selective in understanding the power of thought within our physical being when it comes towards health and wholeness. Now, there's no such thing as a chronic disease, but there are many chronic disease thinkers. The continual thinking of dis-ease will renew diseased cells. So there's people who just constantly own their sickness. They own it, and they include it in their story. They introduce themselves. Hi, I am John Doe, and I am sick, and I have this illness, and I am this disease, or I am this or that. And they're constantly telling it in a story in different shapes and forms, when their own mind, as maybe conveying it as well to others. They're creating and recreating over and over again this dis-ease, disease, dis-ease, this uncomfortableness with life and its perfection, and speaking in a negative perspective. And consequently, as we speak to the body, we want to speak to that which is the word of health and wholeness and encouragement, positivity, that will renew every cell that's being rebuilt within our body, renewing it with a positive thought pattern, a positive energy instilled within it. Now, extremes of thought that can defeat really, sense that they can kind of hinder our healing process. Defeating thoughts, negative thoughts, they can actually impact our healing process in a way that holds it back from its highest and best. The healing process does not involve our willpower or struggle, but that the infinite thinker, meaning welcoming the power and presence of the universe within, or thinking all things possible, the infinite thinker through our thought becomes flesh, and our consciousness of healing will be greatly strengthened. But all buts and all doubts and all limitations can then be removed to set us free for health and wholeness within our lives. So it's when we begin to think from the possibilities. And I can't emphasize this enough, how important it is that we as spiritual beings who are having a physical experience in this world begin to focus every day by elevating our thought from the physical realm, the realm of limitation, the realm of the five senses, moving into the realm of infinite possibilities, into the realm of spiritual world, of the metaphysical that's moving beyond the physical, moving beyond, and realize that we live in this world of energy around us, energy that many of us can't even see, but we're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. There's so much that's around us that we just are not always in tune with when we're thinking from the five senses. But when we move from that limitation and we begin to think from the realm of spirituality, all things are possible. Everything is available to me. All that the Father has is mine, is what Jesus said. All that the divine source of God of this universe has is mine, and I claim it now. The perfection of God is mine, and I claim it now in my body, and I claim it for my healing and my wholeness and my well-being. So it's this kind of positive thought energy that begins to renew and refresh the body. It's when our focus is moving from dis-ease to thoughts of our perfection in God. Yes, that's right. We're created in the image and likeness of the divine, the very image and likeness of God, which is perfect. That's the image of which you're created in. And we're called to live from that image. Share that likeness in thought and mind. Begin to embrace it to the fullness. Rather than thinking about, oh, this body is aging and it has its expiration date. Oh, this body has limitations. And oh, I feel all these aches and pains. And I focus on the energy of all that I cannot. When we release all that and embrace, I feel and welcome the very power and presence of the divine. Today, I was working out in the gym. And there's a point where you've okay, done a few bench presses and suddenly your muscles are going, I don't know if I can do anything more. And you shift in mind and you begin, but I can't. One more, let's do it. One more, come on, two more. And it's amazing where all of a sudden, where did that energy come from? It came from thought. Because the first thought was, I don't know if I can do any more. I can't really do any more. I can't push. Oh, yes, I can. And I push through. And what happens is that thought that I can shifts and ignites the energy within the body, enabling us to do those extra reps in our workout. So it is in our life. That when we engage in this yes, I can mentality, you're going to find this surge of the energy of the life force within you, enabling you to do some amazing things that maybe you thought you couldn't. I know there's lots of people say, I have limitations during the day of what I can do, and, this is my reality. Well, they're going to be focusing on that dis-ease, that uncomfortability within their life, and they're going to tell it over and over again until it becomes their biology. Then there are others who just say, I rebuke that, I release that, I do not entertain those thoughts. They are not part of my thinking. I am embracing health and wholeness. I'm feeling it rise up within me, and I'm welcoming it now and finding that surge of energy. So often the defeating thoughts of our low self-esteem, things like, I don't have the faith to believe, or then there's the conceit that comes at us that, oh, I am alone am the healer. I am the one who can heal. But Jesus said, I and the Father are one. Meaning whatever God is in the large, Jesus was in the small. Whatever God is in the large, you and I are in the small. So when we embrace this, we release this kind of low self-esteem idea that says, I don't know if I can, and I don't have the faith, and I don't know if I can believe for this. We release that low self-esteem because everything that God is in the large, we are in the small. So we are a portion of this infinite possibilities that we call God. Now, again, then we remove all kinds of conceit because we realize we alone are not the healer. We're not the healer. Kind of crazy for someone to say, oh, I'm a healer. No. It is the healing power and presence working in and through us that is doing the work. I and the divine source, I and the Father are one. I and the God of this universe are one. I and the infinite possibilities are one. That's what's happening when we awaken to this sense of oneness, of the very infinite possibilities of God at work in us, working in us, around us, through us, and always for us. That oneness is the key. God in me, God working through me. This is so important that we have embraced this, for we are an extension of this infinite mind. Therefore, whatever is true of that mind is true of us. We are an extension of the infinite mind, that which we call God. We are children of God. We are the creation of God. We are the revelation of God. So that which is true of God is also true for us. And we need to welcome those thoughts. This oneness thinking is then man thinking God thoughts. The very God thoughts, and thinking them and welcoming them into his life. That which God would think, I think. That which God would say, I would say. Well, God would speak of infinite possibilities, so then I too will speak of infinite possibilities. God would think thoughts of health and wholeness and well-being and success and prosperity, then I too will begin to think of those kind of thoughts. Here's the thing. You already know this. And what I'm telling you tonight is to remind you to practice what you already know. You already know that thoughts create the change your thinking, change your world. You've heard these phrases over and over again. Our big challenge is that we just don't practice it on a day-to-day basis. We know all kinds of wonderful, insightful things. We know we've been taught spiritual enrichment. We know how to enrich the soul and how to evolve it. We just got to practice it on a day-to-day basis. It's just as simple as that. Practice the God thoughts. Practice thinking from that framework of mind. Now, our challenge is that we are more tied to our physical heritage versus our divine heritage. So we forget that we're created in the image and likeness of God, and we say instead, my mother or my father had cancer, so I must have cancer. But the fact is, man's divine qualities outweigh his weak human heredity. So we need to understand, to live and believe this very thought, I and the Father are one, that divine presence, the goodness of this universe, the goodness that we call God, the all good, we're one with that. But we get so tied up with our physical heritage. We get so tied up with our ancestry. We get so tied up with thinking, well, my family has diabetes. I'll have diabetes. My family had poor eyesight. I'll have poor eyesight. My family did this. We go on and on and on, and we just welcome this. We engage in it because we know very clearly that that which we hold in mind will produce in like kind. So as we continue to hold in mind, I'm a failure, my body's not going to make it, I'll probably die young, I'm going to have cancer, whatever it may be, it's going to continue to produce after that. But you don't have to. You don't have to think that way. You don't have to live a life that way. You can choose. You can change your thinking completely and just say, I and the Father are one. And the divine goodness is now flowing through my body. I am welcoming this health and wholeness. I'm experiencing this even now as I speak. That kind of energy is a healing energy within our body. So live in this world in a way that we believe we are so far above the challenges of this physical world that there's no contact with those challenges. Think about that. Live in a way believing that I'm above the challenges of the world. I'm rising above it. And that this physical world and its challenges don't have to have impact upon my life. How is this illustrated in Scripture? Well, it's the metaphorical story of Jesus calling out to the disciples as he began to walk on the water, inviting them to get out of the boat and do the same, to walk on water. Water being symbolizing thought process and the chaotic thoughts of this world. And what Jesus is doing in this metaphorical illustration is symbolic of inviting us to rise above the thinking of the challenges of this world, to live above them, but not to be drowning in them, but to rise above them and to walk above them. And as Peter responds with keeping his eyes on Jesus, meaning the Christ consciousness, this higher realm of thinking, this divine inspiration, he begins to walk above the chaotic thought, above the waters, above the chaotic thinking of this world. He truly rises above the challenges of the physical world. And then he takes his eyes off of the Christ consciousness, and he begins to return to thinking on the day-to-day basis of the physical world. And what happens? He begins to sink. You see, that's the story of our lives so often. What happens is that we have been swimming in the negative thoughts, the chaotic thinking of this world and all of its challenges. And we think the best we can do is try to hold our head above water. We think the best we can do is just, can I tread water in the midst of all this chaotic challenge of this world? No, you don't have to. You can walk above it, rise above it. That's the beautiful metaphor of this story. It's a story that invites you to say, you can be thinking above all the physical challenges of the world and live on that plateau, that plane, that level. Live above the waters of chaotic thinking and let them be below you, but you are living above as you welcome the understanding of the all good, God, the all good, that work in your life right now, right here, in this moment. So whatever is going on in the world, in its chaos and its challenges, you need not let it consume you. You need not let it drown you, but rise above it. So authority is so key. Here's what's essential for us to understand. We must speak with authority then in all of our prayer treatments. That is, speaking with a confidence and assuredness of success, speaking in a perfect peace. And our treatments must be a statement of our belief and our knowing. Now, knowing is higher than believing. We really embrace this that says, I believe something, but then there's like, no, I know. There's a belief, but then there's the knowing. You have just this great confidence and assurance within you. This great sense of speaking in a perfect peace. There's been numerous times in my life when I've expressed this sort of sense of great knowing in the midst of a world of, shall we say, doubtful endeavors. But in advance of whatever I was going through, I began to proclaim that the outcome of my desire was my reality and that was actually manifesting right here and now. I've told the story numerous times. Years ago, I was pastoring in Minneapolis, and I had the opportunity to come to Atlanta, Georgia. And I sent my resume in to apply for the pastor here at City of Light. It was about 20 years ago. Yes, I applied when I was 6. I know you know that. But I was looking forward to the opportunity to have an interview. Months went by. They didn't call. Finally, I called them. Oh, they said, come on down. Yes, maybe we would like to interview you. Had a great interview session. I flew back to Minneapolis. knowing that I was going to be the pastor of City of Light. Now, my congregation in Minneapolis turned to me and said, you're going to resign? I said, yes, I'm resigning. And you're going to do what? I'm going to be the pastor of City of Light. Well, did they vote you in? No. Did they offer you a job? No. You're crazy then. What are you going to do? You're going to quit a job here and you don't even know if you have another job. Oh, I know. See, there was a sense of assuredness, confidence, and peace, not an arrogance, but an assuredness that this was the right plan for my life. I knew it, and I was willing to walk in that great faith and believing and resign my job, giving them an 8-week notice to help prepare and close out my ministry there and get ready to move on to the next place. Well, it wasn't until 8 weeks later that I was finally called for the opportunity to have the actual in-person interview with the congregation and them to vote on me. And yes, I was selected as the pastor 20 years ago, and I've been here ever since. It is that power of knowing. It wasn't a belief. It was a strong knowing that led and guided me through this. And here it is why it's so important that as we go to prayer, that we move from believing, which is powerful, into knowing. This is where we've embraced fully the very passage of Scripture from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with a portion, a little bit of your heart. No, all your heart. It's this where you give all your heart into the trust. All your energy, all your thought process, everything is going into this sense of believing and trusting and knowing that God will direct your paths. That's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, it says, but in all your ways acknowledge God, and God will direct your paths. That's a promise. That's a promise. So we can walk in that kind of authority and that kind of confidence and assurance. We understand then that the loom of the deeper mind is ready to carry thought into form, to form those thoughts that are fed into it. So, we talked about the loom, like a weaver's loom, and threads go in, and thoughts be like the different threads or fabrics that you're weaving in as you're working the loom and building and creating a fabric or a rug or whatever it may be that the loom is designed to create for you. So it is that as we begin to understand that the loom of the deeper mind is ready to carry the thoughts into form, the thoughts that we feed into it. So as you are looking at that loom and the different threads are going in of red and green and blue or whatever it is, we're creating this beautiful fabric or carpet or rug, whatever it may be. So it is that we understand then that the thoughts that we're entertaining in mind are going into the deeper mind, the very loom of the deeper mind, to create. So remember, the law of mind is obedient. Just as the law of electricity is flooding through into a light bulb, and there is light, so it is the same that the law of mind is obedient. That which you think, so you are. That which you think will be your reality. That which you think is creative power at work. So begin to choose your thoughts wisely. Cultivate your inner consciousness. Let's move on to the next chapter, and it's called the technique of treatment. Now, treatment is the formulation of a concept of perfection. Treatment. Let's talk a little bit about that. We use this word treatment as that which we are going into prayer. We're going into prayer to treat doubt, fear, anxiety, stress. Why is it you ask someone to pray? Because you have doubt, fear, anxiety, maybe some stress about an issue. So you ask someone to pray. So what we're going to do is treat that doubt and fear and remove that. So we're going to help you move to a concept of your perfection, of your real, true state, that state of being created in the image and likeness of God, which means that deep within you, your innate nature is perfect. It's godlike. That's right. All the goodness and kindness of God, all the gentleness and meekness, all the forgiveness and the power of love and grace, it's all there within you. You've been created with it. It's now calling it forth to allow it to rise and to create this concept of that kind of perfection that's already in you. So with assurance that the creative law of mind is transforming it into a form is what we pray with. It is a conviction of its truth. So we want to say that when we're praying, we have this knowing, a conviction of your state of perfection. So if I'm praying or treating for you, for your health and wholeness, I'm going to speak a word of authority, knowing that my word is going forth into the universe and it's going to return back to me, not void, but having created this reality for us within our lives. So I'm going to speak a word of health and wholeness concerning your situation. And I'm going to help you in this prayer treatment create a concept or an awareness of your divine state of perfection. And I'm going to do this with the authority or conviction of great truth. And that's what's at work within our lives that's so transformational. When we treat, when we pray, when we're treating in a way that's removing doubt and fear, we're now leading someone into a consciousness and awareness of their perfection, their divine good. It is the releasing of our highest thought about a person or a condition with the assurance that infinite creative mind begins immediately to bring to pass that which we have embodied in the treatment. So we want to pray with this sense of great assurance that that which we're speaking is happening even now. It's beginning, and it's coming from, shall we say, we're drawing all the answers, the solutions, it's starting to move into place. We're releasing any kind of blockage. Because let me tell you this, God knows the desires of your heart before you even ask. God already knows what you're going to be praying about. It's already provided for you, already created for you. It's already there. You just have to remove all the blockage. You have to remove the barriers. Those things that are holding back God's goodness and divine blessing that it's intended for you. So this prayer treatment then is helping you to release those barriers, to allow this to happen within you and to bring it to pass and to help it unfold. And so that's why we conclude the treatment with the words, and so it is. Meaning there's no exception. This very answer to our prayer is within the prayer. Because when we pray and say, I see that John Doe is healed now. I speak this word for John Doe. He is healed in this moment and is experiencing this wonderful wellness and perfection within his body. He is feeling this energy of new life flowing through him that is restoring and renewing him. Well, we're speaking this wonderful transforming word that's helping John Doe to accept this concept of perfection within him and to welcome it. And then we release it with, and so it is. But the prayer is not answered if you have not spoken the answer, because the answer to your prayer should be in your prayer. So when you pray with the affirmative, claiming that which you so desire. You speak, you declare the realization that you have within you, that your desire is now unfolding or has already unfolded within you. That's when the solution to your challenge is in the prayer, and the answer to your prayer is in the prayer.
I have a question.
Yes, we've got a question coming in. Dr. David Carter.
Dr. Holly Hill.
Holly Hill has a question. Great.
I'm still unsure about the extent to which I can do prayer treatment for someone who hasn't asked me for it. I may see someone who seems unhappy and appears to be living in fear, but he or she hasn't yet requested help in making a change.
Right. So, it's very challenging. We can't really pray for those who've not requested prayer treatment. But here's what we can do. We can pray for the circumstances around them. We can pray for, shall we say, the soil to receive the seed. We can begin to affirm that the all good is, that there's awakening within their life that's happening. that receptivity and a spirit of openness is beginning to unfold within their life. So even though we can't pray for someone to treat for someone who is not requesting treatment, not wanting treatment, because they want to hold on to their doubt and their fear, they're not ready, we can pray for the Spirit to move across their lives, to awaken them, for all things to begin to work and set the environment that they begin to open up and receive. And there is a willingness within their life. But again, you can't offer prayer treatment for somebody who's not willing, because what you're doing is you're speaking the word for them, but if they're not receiving the word, it's not going to work. It's not going to work on their life. They have to be open to receiving it. But you can pray for the environment, for, shall we say, for them to come to this place of a spiritual openness, to be receptive. Treat for that. Any other questions? Anne has a question.
At least we have that process for ourselves. That's what we're learning here at Emerson. And I recently, just a couple of days ago, saw a dog that I wanted to adopt. And I just said to myself, I'm just going to say she's mine. And I went out and bought a dog bed, and I was convinced, and I didn't get her. And I went home and I scripted, like we learned in scripting class again, and I realized that I had some fear through that process. And then I realized that there is no fear, there's no uncertainty with spirit.
Right.
So I scripted that.
Excellent.
And, we'll see what happens. But, I thought, I didn't do it perfectly. That's why I didn't get the dog. And I really wanted that dog and all that.
Oh, Anne, I'm going to tell you this universe already heard your prayer, and it's this or something better.
Yeah.
And the universe is responding to you, Anne, I've got something better than this.
Yeah.
Now, the universe knows that you want a dog, and you have chosen a dog that symbolized everything that you want. But let's just make sure that you are offering in your prayer all the details around that dog. Not just that the dog is fluffy and cute, but you want to see, I want that dog to be loving in nature and kind. I want it to have a gentle spirit. I want that dog, I want to feel the dog's love and the dog to know my love for it. I want these kind of emotional aspects to be there. So keep offering those in your prayer, because the Spirit already has heard, and that the right and perfect dog is there. So that dog may be the right and perfect dog for someone else, but wasn't the right and perfect dog for you. The right and perfect dog is still there.
So we've learned in scripting class that you're not supposed to keep scripting over and over and over and over again for the same thing. What Joyce said to do is use some different words, and in choosing different words, you find more of yourself in the process. Right.
So let's work more on the feeling of what this dog is going to bring to you.
Right.
That right and perfect dog is going to make you feel secure, loved, an opportunity for you to offer care and nurturing, and for it to care and nurture you.
Yeah.
So good. I love it. And I want you to know, though, Spirit has already heard your prayer, and I'm looking forward to seeing that beautiful dog come into your life. I know the right and perfect one is there. And don't be discouraged at all if this one didn't pan out. I'm so glad you bought the dog bed. That was an act as living as if.
Yeah.
So that was great. You're now moving in the right direction. That the right and perfect dog is coming your way, because you are already acting as if it is already so. Mm-hmm. And the right one is the one that you want. Great. Excellent. All right. Any other questions? By the way, if you have questions that you would like to have me address, please type them in. Dr. David Carter, our registrar, is monitoring our Facebook page, and will wave and interrupt me and allow me to hear the questions that you may have, and we can create that dialogue. Because I want to make sure that all of your questions, your seeking and searching, has been at least addressed to the best of our ability to help you, because this is a time of learning. It's not just about getting through the class or me just speaking, but it's also time for us to process together. So if you have a question, feel free to ask. We appreciate that. Let's continue on. We know that illness, poverty, and other adverse conditions are only our distorted thoughts that have taken form. Let's think about that. You know, there are times when people have just embraced so much a sense of financial challenge or the sense of lack. I don't have. I can't. It's not possible. I can't afford this. And constantly in that mindset, what they're doing is they're constantly saying over and over again, I'm on a fixed income. I'm in limited incomes. I only have so much. That's in the physical world. But we're called to live beyond the physical world and start thinking from the realm of the spiritual. And in God, all things are possible. All that the Father has is mine, we can say for ourselves. All of the financial blessings of this world are available to us. So what we want to do is remove these distorted thoughts, this error thinking. It's thinking in error rather than thinking in right manner and right ways. So we constantly have embraced this kind of stuff, and we see what happens is that a lot of people are being impacted both financially, both for their health and their wholeness. All kinds of adverse conditions unfold for their life because their thoughts constantly draw them to them. Now, I had a gentleman say to me, I don't know if I buy into this. As an example, he said, I've been praying for a partner and I've been believing for a partner, but I will never find a partner. I'm just never going to find a partner. Okay? Well, the answer to his prayer, he just spoke. He spoke, I will never find a partner. And that's what the universe is hearing. That's his thought process. He has this sense of failure, negativity, adverse conditions around relationships. I will never means it's not going to happen for him. Now, it is only until he began to shift, saying, I see all possibilities of relationships unfolding for me, and the perfect and right life partner is coming to my life. I see them now. They are unfolding for me, and I'm living as if I'm preparing my life for them. I'm becoming the perfect partner myself that will attract a perfect partner for me. That changed everything. The thought changed everything, and lo and behold, voila, he is partnered. So let me tell you this. It's really important that we're thinking in the way that we want, or thinking thoughts that are creating the world that we so desire, not thinking thoughts that are counterproductive or working against the world that we want. So I want to encourage you also, when you're doing prayer treatment and you're praying for someone, key is to talk about the person, not talk to the person. So you might say, I speak my declaration of truth concerning John Doe. I am not talking to the person, I am speaking about the person. John Doe is experiencing great healing and wholeness. John Doe is experiencing great success in his work. He is experiencing great prosperity. He is engaging in loving relationships. Whatever it is that you're praying for or treating for, you're speaking not to the person, but speaking about the person. And remember that we are dealing with the limitless power that can heal instantly and would always heal instantly except for the barrier of our time, thought, or some other obstruction in the human consciousness. So we have to understand that healing is going on right now. You may not feel it. You may say, oh, but I got these aches and pains. But I want you to know, if you have professed it, you've claimed it, you've desired it, you've spoken it, you've realized it, you've treated all doubt and fear, you've released everything, then welcome it, because it's coming. And our problem is we hold on to time in this physical realm, and the universe doesn't know time the way we know time. So we think, oh, well, it didn't happen right now. It didn't happen this way or that way. And there have been people who've just said, but I rest in this knowing, and they went to sleep and the next morning felt fabulous. There was a physical change, a healing within their body, a transformation happened because they allowed it to happen without giving up. It's just because it didn't happen instantly for them. But it's at work. It's at work and it's unfolding even now. So remember this, that we want to remove any kind of obstructions to our desired outcome, obstructions in our human consciousness when we're constantly thinking from, do I smell it? Do I taste it? Do I feel it? Do I hear it? The five senses, etc. Those limitations. But let's open our mind to infinite possibilities. I love it when people will live in the realm of unexpected income, because that's how we're called to live. So there's many people who will script, or they'll just proclaim, or just live in a day-to-day knowing that unexpected income is coming to them. It's coming to them from unusual sources and different means, but they know and they believe and they feel the joy of it is so, and it's happening even now. And for those people who've engaged in this kind of consciousness, they're the kind of people who, oh, you know what? I found a $20 bill in the parking lot, and there was no one around, and I don't know whose it is, so I just felt it was the universe's gift to me. Or, oh, you know what? I got this rebate, strangely enough, coming to me from my insurance company. Or, wow, I wasn't expecting this, but I got a check in the mail from a beloved friend. Or I got a gift that came through me of a financial blessing, because they're living beyond the physical. They're walking above the chaotic waters of this world and its challenges. And they're living in the realm of infinite possibilities. So tonight, I'm inviting you to move to that realm, to rise up from the world of its limitations and its physical limitations, and move into the realm of the spiritual. So we want to, number one, from tonight's lesson, have a sense of authority, of the power and presence of God flowing in us, through us, and around us, that we can claim, we can speak with assurance and confidence, and know that God is at work, and know it. So if you're Holly Hill, let's just use your illustration. I'm going to speak to you, and you're praying for someone, but they're not ready to receive treatment. Just know. Hold in consciousness. Know that all things are working together for good, and in the right perfect time, that seed that has been planted will bring forth fruit. Just walk in that knowing. Hold that knowing. Believe in that knowing. All things are coming together. You may not see it today, tomorrow, or whenever, or the days ahead, but know it. And as you live from that knowing, it will begin to unfold for you. So live that assurance. Live and speak that confidence in our trusting and knowing. And let us also use this technique of treatment that we're helping people to move to a concept of perfection, that we're moving into a concept of our true nature, that we're created in the divine image of God, the likeness of God. That means this body is created, although it has physical limitations, I know that within it, its perfection to live out through those physical limitations, to live out the highest and best, are available for me. And I see perfect body, perfect health, perfect God at work in me, through me, and around me at all times. I'm so glad you're with us tonight. So as we conclude, what I'd like to know is, what's your takeaway? What spoke to you from this class tonight? What really kind of resonates in your spirit? What's going to be in your spiritual Tupperware that you're going to pack up and take home and say, I need to digest or nibble on this throughout the week ahead? Whatever it is, let us know. We appreciate those of you who are joining us through live streaming. Take a moment and type in, what's your takeaway from tonight's class session? And while we're waiting to hear from you, we're going to go around and entertain our students that are here and ask them what their takeaway is from tonight's session. So we're going to ask students to speak up real loud, or to step up a little closer to the camera as you speak and share your takeaway. Let's start with Steve Ginn.
I guess my takeaway is just the reminder that our biography becomes our biology, and that we need to learn to walk above the chaotic waters by constantly focusing and developing our Christ consciousness.
Beautiful. Amen. Let's go to David Carter. What's your takeaway?
I have two takeaways. The first one is the thought is ever father to the act or the fact. And my second takeaway is that God thinking through me is thinking my thoughts. God acting through me is acting.
Beautiful. Excellent. And let me hear what your takeaway is.
Well, in the very beginning, we're talking about negative thoughts coming into our mind.
Yeah.
And literally, I spent a moment literally thinking, I wonder if there's a way, if when a thought comes into our mind, we can intercept it before it goes into the creative process. But I realized as you went on that that was too literal thinking, and that it's really a process. And then you reminded us to practice what God wants us to be. And it reminded me that God is in, through, and around us, but also for us. So it's the negative thoughts are not going to hurt us. We're going to either learn or realize it right away and say, I'm sorry, or whatever.
Just dismiss them, release them, don't entertain them.
Right.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you, Ann. Let's go to Ty. What's your takeaway from tonight? It's great to have you in the class environment with us.
All right, thank you. My takeaway is to be, like Jesus, you want to walk over the waves of life's disturbances rather than be consumed by them.
Beautiful. We're going to walk above the waves of disturbance, of chaotic thinking, and we're going to live in a realm of infinite possibilities. So no matter what's going on in the world and its chaos, and we're just knowing that all good is unfolding through no matter what we go through. It's all about our perception, because we can look at the world from a view that says, whoa, everything has gone crazy in this world. Or we can have the perception or the view that all good is unfolding in the midst of everything we go through. You will see the good if you look for the good. If you open yourself to the good will be there, because it's already there. You will discover it. All things work together for good, no matter what you're going through in your experiences, the challenges, the ups and downs, the adversarial experiences, they're all working for your good. So open your eyes. There's good. There's good in all things for you. I'm Reverend Dr. Paul Gretz, and I'm so glad that you're with us. Oh, we got more. Oh, we've got some more. Excuse me before I close out. All right, let's hear those.
Okay, Dr. Holly Hill.
Holly Hill.
Thoughts are always creative, so you may as well create the things that you want. Also, don't yell at your water.
Don't yell at your water. Excellent. That's right. That's right. All right, another one?
Yes. This is from Rebecca Gretz.
Ah, Becky, good to see you tonight.
I had a Bible study at lunch today, an Advent book. It is amazing, and my study in you. Please be patient and look for the good.
Great. All right. Yes, some great things are happening in your life. I see them, and I want to see them with you, and I want you to see them with me as we see God doing some amazing things in you and through you and around you. You're a wonderful light, Becky. Love you. All right, somebody else? Anybody else? All right. Well, I'm so glad that you're with us tonight for our class session. And if you have enjoyed tonight's class experience and it's been meaningful for you, in a sense of gratitude, it would be just a wonderful expression in a tangible way to offer an offering, a gift, a donation to the Emerson Institute. You could go to our website at www.cityoflightatlanta.com, www.cityoflightatlanta.com. And there you can find a donate button and make your donation for this experience. We greatly appreciate it. Your support of the Emerson Institute enables us to do some amazing things. As you can see, this wonderful creation of the Dr. Angelo Pizzello Wisdom Center, this great learning center for spiritual enrichment, this incredible environment with all kinds of resources and volumes of truth available for each and every one. This is just one of the many things that are happening through the Emerson Institute at City of Light. Thanks for joining us. I'll look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday night, as we continue the basic principles of science of the mind, learning to live our highest and best. God bless you.